this is Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and I wanted to talk about when you get exhausted when reading the cards. So a person had put up a post in the tarot group about being exhausted when they read the cards. Okay, so I wanted to talk about possible ways or reasons why that's happening. Okay, so I've got 5 points here that I've written down as to what is the possible reason when reading cards, you get exhausted. Okay. Whenever I teach students tarot cards or lenormand cards or any type of cards, if they feel they're exhausted, it's because they're not reading them properly. Okay, so if you imagine an electrical cord, the electricity goes through the cord like it's a channel. So if the electricity gets blocked somehow, it's because the channel or the cord has been tangled up or is buckled in some way. So that's the only reason an electrical cord will not work. Same as reading cards. If you are feeling if you're feeling exhausted, it's because somehow the energy or the message is not flowing. So these are the 5 main reasons that this could happen to you, okay? So it could simply be that you don't know the cards. Especially if you're a beginner, you may not know the cards well enough to flow with them. So when you're reading the cards, you kind of don't know the meaning, or you know bits of the meaning, or some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't. And then it becomes a big puzzle, and then you get stressed or frustrated or exhausted. The other one is, let me just see. So we've got don't know the cards well, so it ends up being a puzzle. Could also not be good at reading. It could also be good. It could also be that you just may not be a good card reader yet as well. And you may even not know the spreads as well. So it ends up becoming a big puzzle, okay? Big puzzle to work out and not fun to read at all. And that becomes exhausting. The next point would be that you may not want to hear what the cards are saying. So you may be doing a reading for yourself, for example, and you want certain cards or are looking for certain cards, and those cards are not coming up. In fact, cards that you don't want are coming up. So that could be that you're just fighting with what the cards are saying to you as well. Okay, I wrote here, don't want to hear what the cards have to say, or you may disagree with the cards as well. So you might be thinking, I'm going to have a great time in this reading, or you may be wanting a certain answer and the cards are just not wanting to tell you yes, okay? Yeah, now the other one could be that if you're reading for somebody else, a client or a friend, that person may be doing exactly what I just said. They don't want to hear what you have to say or what the cards have to say, and they also may be just not wanting to hear it and wanting to hear what they want to hear, or maybe they're not even listening. Sometimes that can be exhausting too, when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they're not listening. So it could be that as well. So that's number 3. The client or the person you're reading for doesn't want to listen or doesn't want to hear the message. Now, number 4 would be, sometimes the client actually doesn't connect with what you're saying as well. So it could be that you may be thinking you're reading the cards really well, but the client is not connecting with what you're saying, either the way you're delivering it or it's just not resonating with them. And sometimes as well, I've had this experience as well, is people sometimes are a little bit shocked or a little bit scared, and they're kind of, they've got a little bit of a barrier up too. Especially, I find that happens when people come for the first time, when they get a reading for the first time. They might have expectations that you're going to tell them they're going to die or something terrible is going to happen. And so they've already prepared themselves for a shock. And so they might not be actually listening to when you're talking about normal things, okay? And also I've been on the receiving end of that too. When I've been a client, myself, sometimes I've had readers read me and I'm not connecting with what they're saying, or they might be reading me wrong, or they might be judgmental, or they might just be way off track. And I've had instances where I've walked away from readings thinking that was a waste of time, that was a waste of money. That's happened to me in the past several times, you know. So it could be that you might be thinking you're doing a great job as a reader and the client's just not connecting with what you're saying, which will then cause resistance. So, you know, they might walk away feeling frustrated or annoyed or just dismissive of you, and that could cause you to feel, you know, frustrated and dismissed as well, which could also cause you to feel exhausted. So ultimately, if you are feeling exhausted, it means you're not doing something right. Something is amiss, okay? And because when you do a reading, you should not be really feeling exhausted. It's a little bit like a dancer. When a dancer is inspired by the music or the dance, they're not going to be exhausted. Okay, they're going to be energized, if anything. Okay, so now if they're doing it wrong, if they're doing the wrong dance steps, or they haven't trained properly, or perhaps they're, you know, dancing too long, that could cause exhaustion as well. So it's important to have breaks as well in between your readings. I find with myself, I don't get exhausted when I do readings anymore, because I know now, because I've been doing this job for a long time, I know now when I feel exhausted, it means the client is not connecting or not listening. And then I've got to change my tactics. Often if they're not listening, I'll have to say to them, I'll have to sort of snap them out of it. I'll say something like, is there something that you want to, is there something that you're not understanding, or there's something that you need to talk about, because I feel like you're not really getting what I'm saying here. So I would do it in a way that kind of clears it up. You know, like for example, I had a client yesterday who came into the shop and she was very frazzled. She was very stressed out, right? And she sat down and she was just stressed. And I said, okay, before we start the reading, do you need to clear yourself? Like, need to get something cleared up? And what happened was she had just come from work herself, and she just had an altercation or a problem with a client at her work. And the client was unhappy because the client thought she was shortchanged. So this woman, my client, works in a shop, and they just had a client who paid for something but felt like she was not given the right change. So there was money missing. So she was frazzled by that. Now, before I started reading for her, I could see that she wasn't present. So I said to her, you know, you seem to be like frazzled about something. Is something wrong? Did you want to talk about something? And then she proceeded to tell me what happened about her client at her work. And then I kind of got her to relax and sort of get that out of the way. And then once she got that out of the way, then I started the reading, because I could see that because she was kind of upset, there's no point me starting the reading if she's upset. So when I was less experienced, I probably would have made that all about me. I would have probably said, oh, she didn't like my reading. But really what was there was she was upset about something that happened to her. Sometimes it's happened as well with other clients where for example, they have an appointment with me and then they can't find parking, for example. And then they're stressed out, they're running late, they can't find parking. They finally get to the shop, they might be a few minutes late and they're frazzled, and they're not, they're kind of worried, or they're upset, or they could be even angry, and so it's really important if that happens to get that out of the way, to talk to them. So usually I say to them, okay, yeah, it's very difficult. The parking around here is difficult sometimes. Happens to me all the time. It's okay. You're not running late. We've got plenty of time. And you know, I'll say to them, you're here now, you made it, that's the main thing, you know, and then if they need to say something, I'll say, yeah, I understand. And then I get them clear, and then we start the reading. I would never start a reading it when a client's kind of upset or, yeah, not present, you know, because that could be exhausting as well, okay? All right, so I just wanted to put those out there on video. And yeah, so if you're exhausted, try to have a look and see what one of those it is, because you shouldn't be exhausted in reading cards. Okay, this is Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop.